Grab your favorite alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage, drink responsibly, do not drink and drive, and join us for the latest episode of Why Complain When You Can Whine. Everything in this podcast is purely for entertainment and psychoeducational purposes only. Enjoy! Welcome to Why Complain When You Can Whine, making sense of the senseless. Join us as we attempt to make sense of toxic nonsense while drinking wine or any other alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage. I have not started yet. I don't know if you just heard that, but I just rammed my glass into my bottle. So luckily I didn't break it. That would have been lovely. See, we're authentic, we are unfiltered, we don't go by a script, which means sometimes I forget what I'm supposed to say. So I am Dr. Jodi Larman, licensed clinical psychologist, and tonight my glass says, "This wine is making me awesome." And my wine is called Ratified and Repealed. Because I thought that was very fitting for what the fuck is happening in our country now.
In our world.
Yeah, in the world. So this is actually it's a California red wine from 2019. What does it say? Celebrate a reunion with friends, a rip-roaring jubilee, or a private week at night triumph with this festive and delightful velvety ruby red wine. Enjoy on its own or with roast meats, cassoulet, or grilled vegetables. Or while doing a podcast.
Sounds good, though.
Yeah, it does sound good. And I am Bree, or Brianne, whatever you prefer, a licensed therapist, but north of you in Canada. And I am drinking out of my lovely glass that Jodi got for me for my birthday, Dr. Larman. Let's keep the dumb fuckery to a minimum today. That's amazing. And I'm not much about I used to work in the wine industry, believe it or not. And as much as I love wine, I'm more of a spirit girl. So I'm drinking a beautiful blend from the I believe my friends got it from the was it Banff? No, it wasn't. It was not Lake Louise. I'm trying to think of the hotel. Yes, it was Lake Louise. Her niece got married and then she got me these blended drinks with spirits. So this one's gin with lavender and wildflower from the Rockies. So it's distilled gin from the Rockies, which is, I'm in BC, British Columbia, but this is from Alberta, so the next province over.
So the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah, the Canadian Rockies. Yeah, right. So basically, Alberta is just north of Montana. Right?
And that's
I'm north of Washington. And they're north of Montana, so it's the Rockies. But that's anyway. It's a distiller. They're lovely. It smells lovely.
I do love because Bree was a sommelier, gave her whole thing about why wine really isn't her thing anymore. So I looked because her birthday is Sunday, if I can say that right. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Sunday. So try going on Amazon Canada. Everything that I could find was so polite. And actually that cup said, let's keep and it was some other word, like the nonsense. It was some word that was okay. And I'm like, God, that's the most clever one I could find. So when she showed it to me, I'm like, oh, yay. It actually said dumb fuckery. Because that's
dumb fuckery. Yeah. Yeah. I love the dumb fuckery. As you can see, Slim, this is sort of our whole, this is what we do.
I love it.
So we're going to introduce you now. So for all of you out there, we have a guest speaker this evening.
If you have not noticed.
And she is amazing. Her attire is amazing. And this is through Dr. Larman's brother. And now we're going to let you introduce yourself and you can tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Before you start, one thing I do want to say is the reason that we have you, I could say this at the end, but I will forget, is my brother interviewed you for his show. It's called The Broken E, and it's on Stray Boy Productions Facebook page, but pretty soon it's going to be on YouTube as well. So you can catch her interview with my brother on Broken E and Broken E at Stray Boy.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Started drinking. Yes, I think I need to. Stray Boy Productions Facebook page, and it will soon be on YouTube, and I will put it in this video so you guys will all have it.
All right, take it away, Slim.
Take it away.
Hey, I'm Slim. I am an artist and musician. I have a band called Thinky Flesh, and I also play in a band called Green Jello. I've been touring for a couple years, and before that, I was doing visual arts and making sculpture and stuff like that, interactive performance stuff. And yeah, I'm drinking water. I do enjoy drinking wine from time to time, and we were. I think actually my sister just left to get a bottle of wine because I think after this we're gonna go try to catch a show down the street, and so. But I'm just drinking water for at this moment, and hopefully she will arrive with some variety of wine.
You don't have to worry about it. You can
Fingers
drink
crossed it's red because I prefer that, but likely since she's buying it, it will be white, and that will be fine.
White wines matter too.
Mm-hmm. It does.
White wines matter.
I still drink wine. I love wine. I just don't, it gives me a headache, right?
Yeah.
When you were spitting it out and tasting it for as many years as I did,
Sure.
there's sort of, yeah, I just
Like the
spirits.
tannins. Do you become
Yeah, no, the thing is it depends because tannin can actually cause an allergic reaction, right? Like people
right?
get histamine, right? And I think that's what
Right.
happened is that my body just sort of developed a bit of an adversity too.
Yeah.
And so white doesn't have tannin like red has tannin because I mean they extract the tannin from the pips and the stem
Right.
ends. And so yeah, if you wind up having a weird reaction to say red, like you get all stuffy and congested red in the face, take an antihistamine before you drink. Work.
And
Mm.
it'll work.
Mhm. Yep.
I am sorry. I noticed that the price tag or something, it wasn't the price tag, but something is still on the bottom. So it looked really lovely when I just drank right now and had this big tag on the bottom. So nobody noticed, but of course I had to call it out because it's what I do.
Yes.
And
So what are we talking about?
my shirt is super psychology. It's
Oh, very
the
cool.
psychology sign, and it's like in the Superman thing. And my sister got it for me for the holidays because I am a super psychologist. Well, I don't know if that's why she got it, but that's what I'm saying. So,
That's
okay,
very
so
cool.
the
My
re-
shirt, I just made this shirt today.
you
Oh, that's
made it?
Yeah, I printed it. I made a screen of it and printed it today.
You are an artist by through and through, my dear. That's amazing.
I love
Those
Thank
are
you.
kick-ass
Isn't that
ears
fun?
going
And
on.
these earrings, actually, a girl at that show I met your brother at gave me these earrings. One of my fans, she was like, I don't wear these anymore. She had like a whole goth style, and she was like, "Do you want these?" And I don't really wear earrings that much, but look at this. Look at this little
Oh, wow.
guy.
And
It's
so
so
is that
cool.
why you made the shirt? To match?
No, I made the shirt just because I was trying out a new. It's like potential new merch. I just want to see what people think about it, if people
I
like it
love
or
it.
not,
The earrings
and then I
go
would like print
on.
it more.
Yeah.
It
And
matches.
I've been seeing these people do this really cool thing with hoodies where they'll take and they'll like destroy them and they'll like sew on them and do screen prints here and there and drawing and stuff and just make it like a very graffiti cool like aesthetic thing. And I want to start doing that. So this is actually a different usually when you do a screen print it's on a frame and you're doing like many multiples of it, but this was a test to see about just having it loose off the frame and just doing it just by hand. So
Wow.
yeah.
I don't know how to do any of that. So the reason my brother was telling me that when he recorded your concert
Oh yeah.
or your show or whatever it is called, because it is, are you guys considered, I'm sorry if this is like a really stupid or is it an indie band? Would you be considered an indie band or what would you consider?
My band Thinky Flesh is indie in that it's independent. Like I am the one, like I don't have a manager, I don't have somebody producing my music, I'm doing it all. Indie, like in terms of stylistically, I wouldn't say it's like what you would think of when you're like I'm listening to an indie band, because that for me has more connotations of like kind of folky, kind of like not as heavy. I have some more like heavier punkies type stuff, but also in the realm of like Devo and Talking Heads area.
Oh,
So
okay.
combined with some heavier stuff. So, but indie in that I'm independent.
Okay.
Right.
And so my brother was at your show and interviewed you and happened to also record the show for you guys. And so he had sent me the text that you had sent him about the recording of the show. Do you remember it?
Right. Right.
Not that this is a test or anything. I'm just, I don't know if you remember what you had texted him about. that he had recorded
It was
the
a
show?
while back. But yeah, yes, during that show, I'm assuming you're talking about the me being sexually assaulted
Yes.
by one
Yes.
of the people at the show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that, especially because you had said it's not a one-time thing, that this happened.
Right. It is. Yeah.
Female.
And specifically with Green Jello as a band, because it is a very rowdy, and I know it happens with lots of bands also. But yeah, no, he filmed the show and caught the guy doing I mean, he attempted to sexually assault me with the pool noodle. I have been sexually assaulted with the pool noodle before. And in other ways too. I mean, a girl freaking licked me at a show. A girl came up and licked my body at a show. You know, and it's like, you'll be like, at first, I mean, sorry. You know, it's like the first couple of times that happened, it was like someone's like grabbing your foot or grabbing your leg, like rubbing your leg. One guy like got me, like took my shoe, put my heel in his mouth on the end of a stage. Like, and it's like, what do you really do? Like, I'm standing on a chair playing bass guitar and singing a song, and a dude's like taking my foot, and you know, or someone's touching you. So it was very a freeze response at first in my touring life and my experiences with this, because the times before that something similar to this would happen, it usually is someone that is your someone you know what I mean, someone you know is touching you in a way that you don't want to be touched. But it's a totally different animal whenever you are on a stage kind of trapped in a way. Not really, I've realized, because since it's happened repeatedly, I have learned, first I would like wag my finger at them, or like do a stop symbol, or be like, you know, but I realized that really doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes people are like, oh, like didn't realize they were overstepping their bounds, and are like, oh, like, and they don't do it again, and they understand just based on that simple gesture or the look or the shake your head. But as people get more inebriated out at the shows and stuff, and depending on people's level of comfort with just feeling like they own your body, you know, I realized I really have to be vocal. And actually, since I've made a couple of posts about that with that video that he made, and got this overwhelming response of like basically everyone being supportive, which whenever I posted it, I was like, you know, the video of that, like, he is just trying to touch me in my privates, you know, and it's not, I could definitely see someone watching it and being like, what's the big deal? And that's what, whenever I posted it, that's what I was like, okay, prepare yourself for people to be like, what's the big deal? And like two people were like, what's the big deal? And literally everyone in the comments was like, you need to get straight, because that's not right. And maybe it's because of where I posted them, because I posted one of them in this very supportive punk rock bass guitar group, and like literally everyone, you know, that just jumped on the people who were acting like it was not a big deal. And then I posted them on my personal page too, and basically everyone was very supportive. And but yeah, it is, I've realized that, and this is what I did in this video, just started screaming at the guy. Mm-hmm. I just started screaming at him, because I'm just like literally on stage in front of like like, yes, we are talking about, there are multiple people filming, okay? We're talking about, I'm literally center stage. I'm the person singing the song and I'm standing on a chair. Multiple people filming, and this man, you can see in the moment he realizes that he's going to touch me in my privates with a pool noodle. You can see it on the video, and you're just like, you are in front of all of these people. Like,
when you screamed at him, what did he do?
He was like, huh, huh. And then the leader of the band like escorted him off the stage, because he was up on the stage with us, because that's like part of the shtick, is people can basically roam around, and people are invited on stage to have costumes on and stuff. But this man didn't have a costume on, and he just randomly walked on the stage, but no one took him off the stage. And so really after this instance, and another instance too, where a lady it was very aggressive. I realized I really need to be talking to the security people before the show and just be like, hey, this happens to me. And please, when I start screaming, this person needs to go. Because for me, I have a struggle with, I don't want to alienate people, my fans and
It's
people
your fan. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's very, I don't want to kick someone out, even if they've done something like that. But also, it's like the rest of the night, I'm avoiding that man and he's allowed to be there for some reason, you know? And so it's no more, none of that.
There's one thing I want to ask you because it's wrong in every way, shape. It doesn't matter. And I know that there are people that are like, oh, come on, it's no big deal. But in my opinion, prediction, whatever, men especially are more emboldened now. They've always been emboldened to do shit because look, you're up there. They wouldn't necessarily do it, although there are women that do it to the men. I know. I've seen women jump on.
Huh? And I will say too, I've in the 2+ years I've been touring, it has been more women who have assaulted me than men, actually. Like, 2 men I know intentionally touched me or tried to touch me. And then there's people who are, you know, try to cross the line, but they stop whenever you do the motion. But the woman licked me. The person who actually sexual assaulted me on stage was a woman. And then she came up to me after the show and grabbed me and hugged me and talked to me and told me how much she loved my performance and loved me. And the whole time this is before this was actually what really made me be like, I have to start protecting myself. Because the whole time in my head, I was frozen. I wasn't speaking to her. And I was just thinking, go away from me. Like, why are you talking to me right now? You literally assaulted me with a pool noodle while I'm in front of an entire crowd of people.
Okay.
Hold on, let me put this dog outside.
No, that's okay. Mine's ripping apart my under the thing.
Quietly, like, oh, mom's busy, so now I can do whatever I want to do.
We're just watching my friend's dog, and he's a barker, Bob Barker.
And I've got my dog too, and she's chasing a ball underneath my.
Oh my God.
So,
what I wanted to say about all of this is, I'm not surprised that you're getting more negative sexual violations from women because they don't see themselves as being threatening the way that men have been deemed threatening typically.
Right.
Look at our socioculture and the way that we're going back in time. And I know, I think Jodi and I pretty much guessed your political views here, but who just got inaugurated on whatever. And
well, especially when I said about the name of my wine and
to speak out about people are becoming more vocal about bigotry, racism, and misogyny and all the rest of it. It's disgusting. But anyway, I'm not surprised that women are being the ones coming forward because again, they see themselves as, oh, she won't be threatened by me because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the disturbing thing about all of this.
I can't rape you. I can't. So you shouldn't be afraid of me either because I can't.
No, but she could rape. Yeah, you can. Sexual assault.
I'm just saying, you know, it's like it's not the same thing.
The way they view it, and that's what's disturbing, is the whole point of if you go look at human behavior, neurotypical behavior, the reason why you're getting so much support is because most people who have half a fucking brain know that it's inappropriate regardless. Men, women, gender, whoever the hell you are, another person violating you, touching your body anywhere,
right?
Let alone your genitalia or breasts or wherever, is so beyond inappropriate. So that, of course, they're going, this is not okay.
Right. No, but I can totally see where I would be afraid to post, not afraid to post, I don't mean that, but that if I posted it, 99%, my thought would be 99% would be, that's nothing. That's stupid.
Really?
Oh, no, yeah.
I feel like we're, like I said, when you look at the amount of people that are progressive in the way that they think, know that that's sexually violating and not okay. But then you look at, let's just call them Trumpers and the fucking morons of the are going to look at that and be like, what's the big deal? Well, anybody like I said, who knows that that's violating and not okay. And I mean, of course, so when you think about anybody who's a performer, There's a risk of people crossing those bound. They have no boundaries, and they're going to try to get away with whatever they can get away with. It's disgusting.
But
And
what about the people though? But Bree, what about the people who say, because you're a performer, you should be expecting that? You
yes,
put
but
yourself
right.
out there.
But that's again, that's not right. We know
Well,
that's
and
not.
the thing that I think is really the weirdest about it is like I think it's something about being in that spotlight that makes people think it's okay, because it's like you're not going up to your banker and caressing their arm or their foot or like putting their heel in your mouth or licking them. You know, you're not going up to your server.
Cashier or the
You know, right,
cashier.
exactly.
Actually,
Your
I will say
lawyer,
this,
your
as a server, I had guys that would grab me and pull
well,
me
that's true.
out.
That's true.
And
That's
in
true.
that environment, again, the misogyny now, women weren't that bold to do that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
But I would say that your environment in particular and your profession in particular, because you're an artist and because you're in and people are riled up and there's music and there's alcohol and
Right.
there's drinking, it's almost like it gives them free reign to do whatever the fudge they want.
Right.
And it's just disturbing. And no, you shouldn't have to ever tolerate that. If you've watched all these different artists out there over the years where people have violated or boundaries and gotten on stage and you've got security ripping them off stage right away, don't touch me, don't whatever.
Right.
It seems like it's a theme.
Oh yeah, it's a definitely, and it's something that I didn't think about whenever I started doing this, you know, but it's something that you learn you have to think about, and it's something that you learn is a reality that you have to deal with, and people are going to approach you, and people are going to want to talk to you and want to touch you, and it's just like how to deal with that, and learning to use those tools and not be afraid to have someone kicked out, because I shouldn't have to feel I should feel like my bodily autonomy is allowed to exist.
120% all
Yeah.
day long, forever. And I feel like, and I mean, you guys can disagree with me if you like, but we were coming in the right direction, the feminist movement, all these things that happened in the 60s and then the 70s and the 80s, and that we were finally getting to a place where it's like, no, men don't have free reign over our bodies, women don't
Right.
have free reign over nobody does, especially men, right? And you don't
Right.
get to just do because go back in time where women had no rights, you couldn't say anything, and men were able to do all those things. There was no such thing as rape in a marriage. It didn't
Right.
exist until the 70s.
The great times.
Yeah, the great
Well,
times, right? It didn't exist until the 70s, where they just recognized that sexual assault in a relationship, in a monogamous relationship, was allowed because you were property of your husband.
Right.
Now you think that we would be moving past that we figured it out, but now since you know who's in power and all this shit's thrown on the stage.
I call them because they're both, I call our presidents Mump. That's my name for them, is just
Oh, I
Mump.
love that. Yeah, I hate using that man's name because
Yeah.
honestly, since the first time he was the head of our state, like before when he was running for that, I'm just like, the reason he's becoming so powerful is because so many people are feeding their energy into him. And it's not positive energy, it's negative energy and positive energy. And we're saying his name and we're repeating his image. And I don't know, like, I never really, I don't follow politics super hard, but I obviously have my feelings on the different topics. But it's so much stress to like have to think about every single crazy shit. But I noticed that whenever it's someone like him in charge, you're seeing him every day, all day long. Whenever Biden was in charge, like I heard about him like, once a month or something, and that's the thing that I really hate the most about it is just like, it's this nonstop, incessant, just being pounded in the face with this horrible, horrible man and bringing up all these terrible emotions and hatred and sadness and disgust and fear. And it's like, I feel like it's a whole system of creating this horrible mixture of emotions inside of the public.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, what are people drawn to? Negative attention.
Right.
And not positive, and not the book. Like he's not boring. He's a fucking clown. It's a circus. And so the media, of course, pays far more attention to the circus than it would be if he was actually a decent political leader, because that's boring.
That's boring.
Right.
Like
But
the entertainment. It's
it's
disgusting.
not just the media. Ever since he became president, I don't know about you, I have spam filters and everything. I have been inundated with Trump and Musk emails selling,
Ugh.
hawking, grifting,
I know.
You're a goddamn president of the used to be free world.
Right.
And
And already
you're,
a billionaire. Like you're already
yeah,
rich. Like why do you need to sell me stuff?
and you're
Well,
hawking
because it's power, and he's a narcissist and he's a sociopath. He's sick. Okay, so he is the
a very
epitome
sick.
of sick. You know what's really interesting? I was talking to a friend today, and I thought that this was brilliant on Disney's part because Disney always, the villain and the bad guy. Let's look at the movie Aladdin for a second. It's about billionaires and money and why can't we just cap people at like 999 million dollars and then they can't make any more and then the rest of the world wouldn't have a problem. We would have funds, we'd have money, we would have whatever. It's not even about that anymore. It's about power.
Yeah.
And if
Oh,
you take
yeah.
for example, and he's so brilliant at the end of the movie where he tricks Jafar, who wants to be Sultan, who wants all the power, who wants everything, and he's got it, and it's somehow still not enough because Aladdin says, "Wait a second, you aren't the most powerful being in the world. Not even close. Genie is." And he's like, "You're right. Oh my God, he's more powerful than me. He's magical. He can do all these things." And then he wants to be the genie. And then that's how Aladdin tricked him and trapped him into a bottle where he becomes a slave
Hmm.
to a person who's greedy. And this is what it is. It's ultimate power. So it's like being the best of the best and beating out everybody else and having to be the elite, the elitist in every way possible.
Let me see
And
if
it's
I can find. I love what's happening, and I love this quote. If we weren't getting screwed in, in the process of. But right now, a little bit aside, a little non sequitur, somewhat. Musk, Trump was hyping and hyping and hyping this huge AI thing. And Musk went on his social media and trashed it. Just trashed it. Musk or Trump was saying how great it was, and Musk was like, this is crap because he doesn't like one of the people. And so the Trump camp said, it's clear he has abused the proximity to the president, said the Trump ally. This is the important part. The problem is the president doesn't have any leverage over him, and Elon gives zero fucks. So Trump is so dependent on Musk's money that Trump, as a
Mhm.
narcissist, here's this guy that is elevating him up, 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 but screwing him at the same time. And Trump can't say anything because he'll lose the money and the prestige and everything that comes with being buddy buddies with the richest man in the world. And
Yep.
narcissists do not like that.
No,
Narcissists
they
don't want anyone to be better than
no.
them.
Keep going. I'm gonna go and pause. I just go get my dog.
Okay. So, here he is like, this guy saying shit. This guy, there's gonna be, if this was not screwing us all, I would have my popcorn and just be so engaged and love all this because they are going to come to a head. A narcissist and someone like Elon, who is probably Asperger's, but that's not why they'll come to a head. But he's power hungry too. And he has all of the money and
Right.
Trump has nothing. And when a narcissist has nothing, and a narcissistic rage is horrible. But my question, do you think, has it been, or do you think it will be? Because, I mean, Trump's an adjudicated sex offender,
Right.
and he's the highest man in office now.
Right.
So, do you feel that it will have, and maybe it won't, but any impact? Because I've already seen people being a hell of a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, I definitely do think that it will affect people. I think it already has. I mean, the day after he got elected, people were saying your body, my choice, which is violent and aggressive. And uh I worked with some people who are very smart and in tune to these types of things at one point, and one of them made a really interesting point to me, and it was like, just, I don't know actually how to frame this. Let's see. Basically, they are in the SW industry, and they're saying people's kinks change depending on who's in power.
Oh,
So, like,
wow.
for instance, whenever Obama was in power, it's about BBD. Whenever Trump was in power, there was more like family stuff,
Oh, wow.
because of the daughter, I don't know.
Oh,
And
with him saying he would date his daughter if it wasn't his
right,
daughter.
exactly.
Yeah,
And so
okay.
it is definitely, people are directly influenced. Like, I never really thought about it until those people told me, like, they noticed in that industry what the interests of people changed based on who was in charge. And so I definitely think it is going to affect people's aggression levels, because that's not even as like close to home as your, that's more of your outward, you're
Yeah.
not going out and telling everyone, you know, that you want to BBD, but
Yeah,
you're going
and
out
you
and
are very
everyone that,
free to use the words here. We don't censor. It is okay. So if you feel comfortable saying what you feel comfortable, you can,
oh, sure.
you
Okay,
don't have to
cool. I just
censor
didn't
it at
know if
all.
it would like affect your.
Yeah.
I am used to hearing the like TikTok speak of people are really putting things under, because now that platform is totally blasted and you basically can't freely talk about anything.
Sorry, guys.
No,
The
before
dog ran
you
away.
came on.
He ran away.
Oh, like ran
Dang.
away?
Back
Your dog?
now. Huh?
Oh, like your dog ran away?
Yeah. I let her outside, but she just took off. She's never
Oh,
done that before. Anyways,
but she's back.
sorry about
Okay.
Dang.
that. Okay,
Okay,
let's keep going.
before you got on, before we when Bree and I had already got on, and then you came in, and we were talking about TikTok
Yeah.
and what is happening with TikTok and all that. But yeah,
It's
so
wild.
but here you could say whatever you want. There's
Cool.
no censoring here. And as
No,
far
no
as I know, Facebook hasn't censored us
Doing
yet.
it. Yeah. Cool.
Yet.
But yeah, no, I definitely think that and then also so many laws are like anti-women, that they're like, of course it's gonna increase. I think it's definitely gonna increase the violence and
Oh,
the
100%.
assault and stuff, because I mean, they're talking about death penalty for women who get abortions. They're talking about trying to pass legislation in certain states
Yeah.
for death penalty for women who seek abortions.
Mm-hmm. Or they're talking about giving pregnancy tests when you go across the border now. So if you cross the border, they're
No.
talking about giving pregnancy tests to women. Yep.
But would
Yep.
Canada be the one to do it, or would the United States?
No, we wouldn't. It would be the U.S.
Yeah,
Customs
so
Office.
how would we, if I'm going across the border to Canada, who's going to give me, isn't it the Canadians that I'm seeing?
They let us in, but they could have to go through U.S. Customs would have some
First.
sort of until you show that if you're pregnant and you're crossing the border. Yeah.
Because of the birthright citizenship thing.
Because here we don't mix church and state ever. There's no such thing. And we're far less religious up in Canada than you are down in the US.
Oh,
And yeah,
we're honestly, it's so fake religious. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
but I just mean that we don't talk about God, we don't talk about Jesus. It's like literally, it's not publicized the way that it is in the US.
Yeah.
But we don't mix church and state, and there's no way. So again, with Roe v. Wade being overturned, it's like archaic. We're going back in time.
Right.
It's maddening. It's like, come up to the
Terrifying.
States. Well, or the Canada, we'll take you in. We bring all of the women. Come up, come up, come up. Your body, your choice. The end.
Right.
Yeah. And what is really scary, I'm not trying, I don't want to plant any seeds or anything like that. I always worry about that when I ask people questions that I start to plant a seed. But with the whole your body, my choice, and all of that going on, and now those same people that started that, Enrique Torres, was it? No, it was Fuentes. Because he wasn't in prison anyways, but now the Proud Boys are out. All of those guys are out. So now, does it at all concern you that it's going to happen even more? Sadly.
I mean, I think that the answer is really like just taking self-defense classes and feeling empowered, because yes, I ultimately there's what I can do and there's what I can't control, and what I can do is talk to the security people and have self-defense prepared. But that's the other thing too, is a lot of people in the comments of that one video were like, I would have kicked him in the face. And honestly, when it was happening, that's what was going through my mind. But it's a much more complicated issue than I'm going to kick this man in the face, because you know, it's his age, it's his drunken level. We're up on a stage. You know, if I kick him in the face, am I going to get sued for this because he hurts himself or falls off the stage and breaks his neck? And I can't get sued right now because I don't have anything. Like, I got nothing.
So
you
this is
know?
the saddest part. In the States, you can sue for everything. In Canada, you can't.
Right. And then it's like, was it a violent enough offense that they would say, okay, that was self-defense and you were allowed to kick him in the face because he wasn't attacking me like with violence. And with as much as we know they prosecute even people who rape, like very little, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you took that to a court and said,
you can become president now.
Say me, and then you kick him and then you're the one who gets popped. So it's like, you know.
Well, not only that, that guy with the pool noodle can become president. Even if he was arrested and went to prison, he could still be president.
There's no law and order anymore. It doesn't matter. No. We were going to do that on another podcast. But yeah, it's really disturbing. And it doesn't matter what your profession, what you do, where you go. Bodily autonomy is such it's no one, and I mean no one, goes near you.
Right.
Ever, without your permission.
Right.
No, because there's no free reign here where, again, these people that do this, and yet they're so oblivious. Like, let's go back to the woman that you were talking about that literally came up to hug you after she assaulted you on stage. Absolutely, completely brain dead. No, like, totally oblivious. How?
Right.
Again, no boundaries. What was going through her mind thinking, oh, I have every right to touch her.
Right.
And then to go up after thinking that she did absolutely nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
I have a question, and this is maybe this is speculation, or maybe you've already talked to men about this, but like you had said, it's a fan. Do I want to alienate fans? And we think about that because sadly, as women, sometimes it's like, okay, he touched me, but
I now all day long if they violated me. You want to talk to me and have a conversation with me, but you don't get to touch me.
But it's like, it's my fan, and what's going to happen to do you think men ever have that when a woman comes up and starts rubbing her hands on him? Do men think that's a fan and I don't care?
Yeah,
or do they just kick her out?
Well, I definitely know. I know of actually a performer in Canada who we had this conversation before, and he's a man and is also very uncomfortable. Women approach him frequently and touch him and grab him, and we had a sympathetic conversation because it is. I mean, that's not happening to him with men. So there's a whole nother element when it's a man.
Women as a woman. As a man,
I think it depends on the guy. I think if a guy's up there and he loves female attention and is all about being groped, then he'll like it. But there are men out there that don't tolerate that or wouldn't tolerate that or wouldn't like it.
But do they have the same mindset of, in all seriousness, of I'm going to lose a fan? Because I know women are more concerned society-wise as well with who's going to side with me, who's going to believe me. Will I lose fans because they're going to say I was wrong, because they're not going to believe that he really touched me inappropriately? They're going to say it was my fault. Whereas men more will believe men. I do believe men are believed more than women. I mean, we have proof.
Yeah.
We have a lot of proof. So I just wonder, do men think, oh, I don't know if I should kick her out because I might be alienating a fan? Whereas a woman will have that.
Right.
I'm going to be alienating a fan. You know, it's like we have to think differently. Why is that? It's society. So that's a rhetorical question. But it's like, think about it. Why do we have to think differently? That's so wrong. And
I will say too, I've never had that thought with like a creepy dude touching me. But the only times I've had that thought would be like, you know, in specific, like there was this one lady who, you know, she came and talked to me before the show and she was like, oh my gosh, I love your band so much. You know, she bought my shirt and, you know, we chatted and it was nice. Like we've had interactions online and stuff. And then during the show, she's literally like chasing me, grabbing me by the waist from behind. And I'm like, please don't touch me. Like I'm literally running away and saying, please don't touch me to her. And that's the person where I'm just like, you know, I don't want to, like, she obviously loves the music. She loves, like, you know, I don't want to alienate her. You know, I don't give a fuck about this guy who feels like he can touch me in my privates. Go out, like, go away. Dude that grabbed my boob, like, get out, like, go away, you know. But, like, whenever it's someone who you've already had that connection with and you know that they're not just there for your body, that's the one that I'm just like, gosh, it's just, there's just so many complicated issues wrapped up in it. And it's, you're having to consider it all in this split second moment while you're also in the middle of putting on a show for people. And you're having to think, oh, okay, I can't kick this man in the face. How do I get him to stop touching me? Because I'm in the front of all these people. I can't assault him, but I really want to assault him. I'm feeling rage about the level of me wanting to kick you in the face right now. The level of me wanting, the self-control I exhibited because I didn't kick that man in the face. I just,
Yeah, good for you.
And the fact I could think of all that before just,
yeah. So
that defines us as women too, I think. Because a man, I think you've seen all these videos of men being touched by people on stage and just starting a fight.
Yeah.
Yep. But if you look at like go back to what this woman who you had a conversation, she loves your music and she's just sort of an obsessed fan, like she just loves you. And that's great. But again, it doesn't give her the right to put her hands on you. And in that moment, I think it's maybe it comes down to you having to be really, and this is sad. This is the whole point of this, is that you shouldn't have to do any of this. It should be just obvious to anybody and everybody that you shouldn't have to even think about and have sort of this premeditated, what is my game plan if somebody touches me? What is my game plan? And that if I sort of have a fan that talks to me and I have a good conversation with them prior, but then they put their hands on me, then what do I do?
Right.
You having to have this sort of pre-recorded or umptive thing where you have to pre-plan. It has to be premeditated, where it's like, okay, you're great, don't touch me.
Yeah.
We had a chat. Doesn't mean that you put your hands on me. And again, I don't know where you are in your music career and Jodi was making the point about, losing a fan. It's just kind of like, yeah, I want to lose the fans that are going to do that. Like it doesn't matter. Music is important. I love what I do, regardless of the attention you're going to get, and a fan really liking doesn't it almost it becomes it counterproductive.
Right.
Love you, but then they put their hands on you. Right.
Right.
The really sad thing is that whole, this is my body. Just because I'm up here on stage, I don't care
this is what
if
blows
you're
my
in
mind.
yeah, and I don't care if you're in a strip club, it's still your body. They're still not supposed to be touching you. So, but people have a tendency, and I think it's way more with women than with men, to the my body, your body, my choice, your body, my choice. And that gets perpetuated because women don't walk around with, I'm gonna touch that man. I'm gonna assault that man. But men, they do.
Well, I think that anyone who does that, like, isn't even actually thinking. I don't think that people directively think. Like, I think that these people are just acting based on whatever, like, instinct. Like,
impulsivity.
I can't imagine it's really premeditated.
No,
maybe in some cases when you're like super famous and they like, I want to go touch Taylor Swift, I'm going to jump up on, like, you got to think about that some. But these people I think are just drunk and they're just like, you're my friend.
Yeah, well, again, right? And it's 120%, like all day long, but it's so wrong.
Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Fucked up.
It's so wrong. And I will say this, as a therapist, believe it or not, sexual assault from anyone around, like I had a woman in Texas who was gay, and I had to cut her off. She became obsessed, super inappropriate, crossing boundaries left, right, and center. And as a therapist, you can't go there. And that's great, right? But I had nothing to do. I don't care that she's gay, but I mean, so I never dealt with that before. It was different. And then a guy who fully sexually assaulted me as I'm on a Zoom call, like beyond, ignore my phone ringing, sorry guys, beyond inappropriate. And I was just like, and I had to cut the Zoom call off.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, what makes you think? And then he was super highly manipulative, right? Like there was a lot of, I was sexually abused by my aunt, and then I have a compulsion and I compulsive behavior, and now I have to, please don't hang up on me, please don't end I was like, yeah, no, I'm ending the call. You can't do that. Well, I'm sitting here like, people are messed up. We have a lot of messed up people in the world.
I'm just afraid, and yes, I am afraid that it's gonna get worse Because honestly, and I am very much someone accused me of being MAGA. And I said, "Oh Lord, I am so not MAGA that I now have to take a shower just to scrub the assumption off." So I am the anti as far MAGA away that you can get. And so when I say this, it's as a human being, as a female, as a clinician, talking to my clients and someone who has critical thinking skills, because I have a PhD, so you learn critical thinking skills. And I do think like having Trump as our president the first time gave everybody the permission to be what they wanted to be, what Trump is: racist, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic, and he made it okay. He normalized it. Now that he is an adjudicated sex offender, I even asked, I worked in prison for 13 years, a men's maximum security with rapists, murderers, sex offenders all over the place. And I asked because a lot of the officers are Trumpers. So I said, I would love to know why you hate the sex offenders in prison. They're the worst of the worst. But you love a sex offender in office. Please tell me. I'm trying to figure it out. It's an honest question. I know the answer, but I would love to hear it from these guys. And no one ever, they never, ever, ever answer the question, which honestly, it's a little scary, because if you're going to worship a sex offender and they worship him, people literally, my Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, I am not kidding you, worship him. It's bad in Canada what you hear from here. It's worse here what you hear from here. And we're in California, so I imagine even worse across the country. But since he is an adjudicated sex offender who said, grab him by the, I hate the word, I'm not going to say it, euphemism for a cat. I could do that and it's not a problem. So now how many men, and I've already seen it happen, how many men are more emboldened to just touch?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think we gotta really be empowered to protect ourselves, protect our sisters and our everyone, our sisters, our everybody around us. You know, we have to be the people who say no, because there's a big portion of people who are in lockstep and think that they're allowed to do whatever they want. And I'm really, really glad that I learned that. You know, it took me a long time to learn it, but I'm really glad I learned it. And, you know, I've taken some self-defense classes, and I would strongly recommend every woman, every trans, every them, every they, every they, to take a self-defense class, to carry some sort of weapon, which I know is terrifying, but learn how to use it, carry it, learn how to use your voice, and don't be afraid to use your voice, because you can't keep repeatedly just getting taken advantage of, and you have to say something and you have to do something, and no one's going to do it for you because they don't understand what's going on, and they don't see, because this isn't a world where we look around us, you know? And so you have to say something and you have to do something, and you can't be afraid, because there are people that are going to be there to stand up for you. And you got to be like, you help me now. Like, you can't just be like, help. You have to be like, guy in the red shirt, this dude's trying to attack me, because then that person has some sort of attachment to the situation, and it's not just a weird help to anyone who will help. You have to make one person see you and hear you if you're in a situation that you are afraid for your life or your safety or your health, you know. And I don't mean to get on a weird high horse here, or not a high horse, but, you know, a tangent, but it's like, that's what I learned, is like, you have to, and now especially more than ever, because they're going to be loud as fuck and they're going to be doing whatever they want. And we have to protect ourselves and our friends and our communities and our families.
You're
on mute. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Well, I did that because I had to go. Somehow my phone, it rang and it answered, and I didn't even answer it. And anyway, I don't know. It's not even.
See, we are unfiltered, uncensored, raw, authentic.
There's a ghost in the machine.
Oh, ghost in the machine. Yeah, right. Totally. Woo, weird. You know, it's interesting with like what Nick Fuentes and what he said. He's like, your body, our choice. And
Your
that
body, my
just,
choice. Yeah.
your body, my choice. And it got everybody up in our arms and when all you women and hitting the glass ceiling. And, 90% of men out there hate the guy. I mean, when you look at the amount of people that support that bullshit, it's it's so many people and rhetorical videos that were going on is like, oh, your body, my choice kind of thing or whatever. We're like, yeah, see what that's gonna look like with me with a baseball bat in my hand because you're gonna die. Like I'm
Well,
not
they
nobody's.
doxed him. They went to his house and he didn't
They
like that.
did, and I mean, well, no, because he's such a little puke.
Yeah.
But with that attitude, and then men and people following that Reddit, but it's just hard to believe that this is where we are in
Oh yeah.
2025. What the actual, and the rest of the world, here's the thing, right? As a Canadian, we're your ally politically. We're your neighbors. We're the ones that, lumber and water, electricity,
And
all of
oil
the
and
resources and oil and gas and all the things. And we've always been good, solid partners, allies, right?
Yeah.
And now with Trump trying to put 25% tariffs, like, or that we become the 51st state because it's a negotiation tactic.
Whenever I heard that, the shit that this man is saying, I
But
was just like,
but it's because he's trying to get a reaction because he wants power. He wants to take over the world. This is fucking
oh, he
Hitler
does.
right.
Absolutely.
No, it's
100.
terrifying.
2.0. And the whole thing is as a Canadian, like even our prime minister who's a dipshit, but he literally was just like, it'll be a snowball's throw in hell or something, or chance in hell that would ever happen. And Trudeau even said, we pride ourselves on not being American. And it was hilarious. And we're just like, well, that's the only fucking smart thing you've ever said. In the sense that, again, it can't ever happen. It won't ever happen. It's Trudeau trying to say, if you don't become the 51st state, then I'm going to put 25% tariffs on and threatening to do so. And he's creating enemies all over the world.
Well, and
Worse.
honestly, it's like gonna cripple us also. I mean,
Well,
He doesn't
that's what I'm
care.
saying. It's going to cripple you because you have had allies and you've with other like competent leaders. And you are the most powerful country in the world. And your election is more important than our own because everything that happens in the States, it's a trickle effect, right?
right.
So, I mean, it's massive. It's why everybody is terrified. And with your election, the best analogy we had was it's like waiting for a biopsy to come back. Is it going to be malignant or is it going to be benign?
And
Yeah.
it's malignant and it's aggressive.
And it's aggressive. And what he's doing and the cutting the cancer research and all that. I mean, unfortunately, to be in America, I don't know how you do it. I'd be absolutely terrified. But the way I've talked to people around me, and like you said, you made such a good point. Like when you have a mass shooting, okay, in the schools, they don't glorify the killer. They don't, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the recognition. What is a
Right.
narcissist looking for? Recognition, a sociopath, recognition. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. So the
Right.
more that we just fucking ignored him,
I
and
know.
just ignored him and didn't give him the attention that he's so
But
strongly.
they don't.
But
That is what I
again,
since the
train
very
wreck.
beginning. I was
Yes.
just like, please, can we just
Yes.
ignore this man? Can we
Ignore
just ignore
him. But they don't because he's such a circus act that everybody can't believe with the stupid shit that he says that he's in power. But it's scary. I was sitting beside a woman the other day in a nail salon, and she was probably in her maybe in her 70s, and beautiful soul. And she openly said, I'm Jewish. And she said, my mother and my father survived the Holocaust.
Wow.
It's like I moved out here not knowing what Canada was about, and we were raising her children, and she's old Jewish money. And she said, she used to say to me all the time, it will happen again, it will happen again. And I thought she was crazy. I thought she was nuts.
So
Thought
did
she was
I.
crazy.
Well, history
Jewish.
repeats itself.
And
That is natural.
all the
Well,
time. And here we are.
Because human nature.
History repeats
People like
itself if you
narcissistic
don't
and
learn. If you don't
Well,
learn from it, it
we're
absolutely.
the dumbest species on the planet when you think about it. We've learned nothing.
I cannot tell you how many times just today I heard, oh, Trump has saved us. Oh, Musk is the best person on the planet. And I'm like, please explain.
Well, to the people where their pockets are being lined because they've got all their investments have
No,
gone.
they're just normal people who are so dumb that they think the price of eggs, which has like tripled since the election, that he was going to lower the price of eggs. And now that he says that he cannot, because he slipped it in a couple of interviews that he's not going to be able to do it because someone somewhere else screwed up. They're not listening, and they're blaming Biden for it not being able to be lowered. But eggs are at a freaking all-time high. And here's what the White House is doing also. He has stopped all of the, like what is it, the CDC, like all the reports on the bird flu, all the reports on everything, all the notifications. He stopped them so that the public cannot know what's happening for reals.
Right. And he wants to announce Dr. Martin Luther King's and how he really died in JFK.
Yeah, because we need to know that. We absolutely have to know.
And he's declassifying all that. Yeah, it's painful.
I'm going to declassify because the people need to know what really happened.
But what did Trump say
Kennedy
before he got in the first time? He said, "I will go and represent the Republicans because they're the dumbest."
Stupid. He said, if I run, I'm going to switch from Democrat to Republicans because they're the stupid ones. He has said it. And honestly, we're getting a little bit away, but I have to say this. I didn't watch the inauguration. I didn't want to, but stuff gets out. People send you stuff. And he admitted several times that this election was fixed. This election was rigged.
I saw that.
And in his inauguration, and I know what his Trumpers are going to say, he didn't mean that because that's what they always say. Right. He didn't mean this, he meant that. And he said he got the World Cup. He got the World Cup and he got the Olympics. But he told them, oh, dang, I'm not going to be your president because it's going to be 2026 and 2028. And then they rigged it and I'm your president.
Yeah, he said Elon Musk knows so much about those counting computers in Pennsylvania.
He sent him to Pennsylvania. And look it.
But also, like, I feel like he's like just lies constantly as well. And so I think a lot of it is like smoke and mirrors. It's like a combination. And I think that's why it's so frightening. It's because it's a combination of smoke and mirrors and also reality of like, I'm actually going to do this. And so it keeps everyone in this constant state of fear. And that's, again, I think it is, we got to refocus on ourselves and our communities, and we can't be watching him all the time wondering what he's going to do, because it just creates a bunch of wheel spinning and wasted time of arguing with people online who you're never going to convince, and arguing with your family and dividing your communities. And really, more than anything else right now, we have to be strong in our communities, and we have to be strong in ourselves, and we have to pour into our own cups and into our own selves, and not pour all of our energy into this true cancerous evil agenda that's happening. And if we reframe our attentions from this horrible thing and put it towards building a better future, we'll have a better future.
I have told my clients, because I've dealt with this past week I have a lot of anxious clients, and I told them, first off, he is taking already. Don't give him more. Do not give him. We don't know what really is going to happen because he is a lot of talk. And a lot of this stuff, who knows if it's going to happen. But let's say it happens in a year. You've spent a year. You've given him a year. Don't do that. Find joy where you can. This is the time that it's okay to be selfish, to say, I'm going to take care of my life and my friends and my family, and not listen to the news and not listen to what's going on. It's okay. Don't put your head in the sand and act like everything is rosy and all that. Be aware, but also do not give him what he's already trying to take.
Nope, I agree.
And we are honestly living in Canada, living in California. We are actually a little bit, I don't like this word privilege, but we are lucky because we live in California and we live in Canada.
Very lucky.
We don't live in Mississippi and Tennessee.
I am so thankful I live where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am. It's and again, it's I feel so sad. Right? And you're just south, and I have so many American friends. And it just is so terrifying. And, even with your lack of gun control, right? And the fear that you have, that you feel like you have to carry and you have to weaponize yourself, because what are you going to do if you don't?
Right.
You're at a loss. It's like
Yeah.
violence has to fight violence, and it's just, and we just don't, it doesn't exist here. I can walk out and not lock my door.
It's wild.
I would never carry a gun. I'd be terrified to carry a gun. Like people are like, you don't carry a gun. I'm like, no, why? I
I
want to carry.
have a gun locked up with the safety, with everything.
Yeah,
I
okay,
hope
lock
I
it
never,
up,
ever, ever,
but not
ever have to
carrying
take
it,
it down.
but you're not carrying it with you.
No.
What I'm saying is that there's some people that have come up here, and I go down there and they're like, what do you mean you don't have a gun in your purse? I'm like, I would have.
Do you know how many people who their response to anything that happens here, if you go on Facebook and you go into these communities that are in California, that are right here, they're like red communities, get a gun, get a gun, get a gun. That's the answer to everything.
Well,
If you
I mean,
say you're sexually assaulted, you know what they're going to say? Carry a gun on stage. Like you're going to whip out a gun in the middle and shoot this guy. That's not the answer.
Slim, what are your thoughts on that? I was just curious because I know you said that you need to be weaponized, or you need to have that to protect yourself, right?
yeah, I mean, um I didn't mean necessarily. I mean, I meant like pepper spray. I usually
Yeah.
carry a knife
Oh, okay.
or
I wasn't sure. Sorry. And
yeah,
if you
Yeah.
like
did carry and steal a weapon, it's totally your prerogative to do so. It's
I
legal.
definitely would. I am not against like I'm not against people having guns. I think that people should have guns if they want guns. I do think that there is a place that they need to be regulated in this country. I mean, there's the really astute argument of you have to have a license to drive a car. So why is any 18-year-old allowed to go buy a deadly weapon? Like, and of course all the other weapons are deadly too, but there's something very instant about a gun. I feel like I don't think it would be a smart thing to carry a gun if you've never shot one or if you don't have training. I think that there needs to be some sort of testing, because really I don't think you should have a gun if you're a threat to yourself or to others. And I think those are the people who go for that because it's easy and it's fast. And but I do think that in the right hands, a gun is an important tool and a necessary tool in our world. And I think, especially also depending on where you are, like when you live in the country, there's so many more reasons you might need a gun. I mean, I won't even get into it, but we had to put an animal down because of like there's things that you need guns for. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your livestock. You need to protect your family when you're out in the middle of nowhere and no one's going to come help you. You know, does every person who walks into a mall need to be packing?
No.
And having worked in a men's maximum security level 4, highest security level for 13 years, I've seen those that carry guns, and the answer to everything is a gun. And I had a guy who was like, yeah, the guy was bothering my sister, just bothering, and I didn't like him. And I went and I got my gun. And now he's in prison. And I'm like, okay,
Okay. So I'll say the difference. And it's really interesting, Slim. Like I actually, this is such a controversial topic, and I know, and everybody has a different perspective on anything, but you know, it's the fear that's ingrained within the American society. And because guns have always been such a huge part of your culture
Right.
from a very long time ago. And in your rights to conceal the First Amendment and your constitutional rights. But you made a really good point. If you're living out in the middle of nowhere and everybody has access to that weapon, you're going to have that weapon too in order to defend yourself, or if livestock has to be put down, or we have a thing. I've got a friend who works in hydro electricity and with indigenous communications with the land, like the different reservations around Canada and BC, in particular British Columbia. And when their animals or dogs or whatever, they're like, oh well, you guys have bylaws down there, they'll seize the dog if it's aggressive. How come you just don't have bylaw 22, meaning a gun? How come we just bylaw 22? take out the dog because that's what they have to do because they're out in remote areas so far from society. But here's the thing.
Us.
Here's the
They
thing.
use bylaw 22. They'll use bylaw
But
for, oh, I don't like my dog. Boom.
but the problem is that unless you are a police officer or you are military or you go
You
to
don't need
or
an
you're a
AR or an
hunter,
AK.
you cannot carry. I will say I've shot an AR-15, shot an AK-47, shot a handgun, shot a shotgun at a shooting range. AK-40 or AR-15s are fucking so loud, like they're terrifying.
And you don't need those for hunting. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no,
You
no.
don't
Here's the
need them
deal.
for hunting. They'll tear apart
These
what
are
you're.
not prohibited. They're prohibited. They're firearms. Okay. So in Canada, in order to maintain a weapon, a gun in general, you have to take a course. You have to pass the course. You have to have a license to shoot a gun, to own one. So you have to pass that. They have to give it to you. To get your gun license, you have to go through not only a criminal record check, a mental health check, and it takes a couple months to pass. Then, when you go buy the gun, they go do the same thing. They go through a mental health check and a criminal record check to have your carry license just for a regular like a hunting rifle or whatever. Now, if you want what you consider illegal or prohibited weapons, you have to have a second firearms license for prohibited weapons. And it means that if you get that, it takes even longer to go through your mental health and it means that like literally a speeding ticket, or if you have depression, or if you were never allowed to have one ever, 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 ever. And it's up to the person, the licensing to deem you worthy to do that. And it's usually military or police, right? So we're looking at authoritarians that can have those. If you maintain that secondary prohibited firearms license, you then, in order to maintain it and have it, it goes in the trunk of your car to the shooting range. Ammunition it's not even allowed in your car, in your house. It has to be at the shooting range. You're not even allowed to possess it outside of
This is with the prohibited weapons, not
prohibited weapons. Yes, prohibited weapons up in Canada. So then you go to the shooting range, you shoot your gun with the ammunition at the shooting range, you leave the ammunition there, you put the gun back in the trunk of your car, and you drive right home. And they used to make it so you had to go check in with a police officer to make sure that you got home with that weapon. You are not allowed to stop at a gas station, a store, anywhere with an AR-15 or a semi-automatic weapon. Ever, ever. If you get caught, you are done. You lose your license, you lose your gun license, you lose everything. You're never allowed to have one ever again. That's how strict it is here. This is why it scares me when I think about people asking me, do we have shootings? The only shootings we have are gang related. That is it. And it's minor. We don't have the gang violence that you guys have done. And the population, but if you look at India, it's populated way more, billions of people, not millions, billions, way more than the US. They don't have a gun problem.
Nope.
No other country in the world has a gun problem.
Because we're America.
Has one problem is America is the US. And again, school shootings, my kids go to school, no metal detectors, no nothing. Again, are they fun to shoot? Yeah, I've gone and shot them. My dad's a hunter. But it is so you cannot let that license expire. And if there's anything, criminal record of any kind, or mental health of any sort, depression or moments of whatever, you are not allowed to have one. Can't get it.
The US is, I think,
But again, you're allowed to have them down in the US. It's fine. Just make it harder for the people who to get them.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know the statistics, but it is like from what I understand, a lot of the times the people that do the bad stuff, they got it last week.
Yeah.
That's or their parent got it for them. They're 16.
But again, this is what's scary. You're not allowed to drink until you're 21, but you can have a firearm.
Right.
Oh yeah. And you don't have to learn how. You don't have to do anything. Now, supposedly, I was always taught you have to have it if you're going to the driving range. It has to be in a case. It can't be just laying in your car. You have to have it in a case. But no one really checks. So yes.
Yeah, and it depends on what state you're in.
Yeah.
The rules are different depending on what
I'm in
state you're in.
Yeah, in California.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
in
it's
state,
different in
again, our
Texas.
provinces, we have different health
Yeah.
mandates, whatever. But when it comes to weapons, it's
Across
federal.
the board.
Like
Across
in Texas, I lived in Texas for a time because that's where I'm from. You can carry, any person can carry a handgun on their belt outside, out on their belt, just there, just any person.
carry
It's
state.
wild. It's
That's
wild.
how
To just
I
see a
know. I
random
wouldn't
dude.
want to go into
Dude,
the
actually, this is
grocery
very
store.
interesting. We played a show in Tennessee, and a guy, it was with Green Jello, and it was this weird private party, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, and a dude had a gun on his belt, and it was taking a long time to get started because there was some issue going on, and dude comes up on stage with the gun on his belt, and he's like, y'all gonna play some music? We're all getting a little tired of standing around. We are out in the middle of nowhere on somebody's private property. We've all driven our vehicles there. We're standing there waiting for this to happen because there's some electrical issue. And a man with a gun is like, dance, monkey. I'm serious. This is the shit I've fucking gone through in the last 2 years. It's crazy.
So, like, again, it's what the actual
It was so scary. It was very, very scary. Like, he didn't brandish it at us. He didn't pull it out, but it was still very terrifying. And I got super riled up that show because it was just a very weird energy, and it was very intense. And then I freaked out at the end of it and started screaming at everyone because of like I had done some crazy stunt and nobody got it on camera, and it pissed me off really bad because I had done something that I was never going to do again because it hurt me. And I just freaked the fuck out. And I think part of it too was because of all that energy from dude with a gun telling us to dance. And then I'm like, so I did my little fucking thing, and then nobody got it on film even. So all of that fear and freaking whatever, like, not even worth anything at the end. It's just some idiots out in a field saw me freaking swinging around on a rope.
That's so sad. And here I thought, like going to a Slipknot concert was scary.
Oh no! Well, they have security. They have real, actual security.
I know.
There.
I just mean their masks are like,
the group itself.
I'm being a bit sarcastic, but I just mean in the sense that, you've got death metal bands that are like, and they're and some of their music is actually really great. But I'm saying that, like, but then a guy comes on stage, it just brings a whole new element of what the actual is going on.
Because that's where, again, going back to, we are a very selfish, very independent state or country, and it's only getting worse, where we are going back in time, where women's bodily autonomy is no longer their own. And
hypocrisy is so crazy. I'm sorry, but I can't, they don't even make sense. Somebody on a news feed that I saw this morning, or a senator from some state, I think it was actually Mississippi, said that they're going to make men something about that they can't
they can't squirt.
They can't ejaculate. They can't orgasm and actually let the fluid leave their body if the intent is to fertilize. And they say fertilize an embryo. And I went,
okay.
Not even science.
You want to hear something even more ridiculous?
You mean egg?
$1,000 to drop your sperm on the ground. $1,000 fine. Second one's $3,000.
What the
okay. Let me here's
do it. I say do it.
Here's what they say as well. That we are the gender at conception.
Right. Well,
I think they believe at conception that we are a little itty bitty human.
Right.
Like if you looked under a microscope, it's an actual little human that's growing. We're a fucking cell. We're an egg and a sperm. We're a mass of cells. There is no gender at conception.
Well, and I think the other thing too, going back to that legislation you were talking about, I read about that also, that they had introduced. And I think the actual wording was it will be illegal to emit genetic material.
That's
so
right.
and for me, I was thinking, So are we going to get fined when we have our periods because that's an
Admitting
egg,
genetic material and an egg,
right? Like,
genetic material. Thank you. Well said.
right,
He said, Slim.
right.
How about you get your anatomical terms right? Because you don't fertilize a fucking embryo, you
Well,
fertilize
that,
an egg.
Okay, you don't fertilize an embryo, but you're also not a gender at conception.
right. Well,
At
exactly. It's
conception,
two
you're a
X's.
fucking cell. And
Here's the
then
thing.
at so many weeks,
Yes.
we
If
are
you
all female. We're all
Well,
female.
everybody's like literally biology lesson 101, egg, sperm, then you become a zygote. And then it becomes an embryo. Then
And
it
then a fetus.
given the lining. Then it forms the placenta. But guess what? As soon as that embryo implants into the uterine lining, it is a parasite in the female body.
Yeah. But
That's what it seemed to be
if
because
you
it can't live without a host. Weird.
if you want to talk about genders, we are all female. We all start out female. And then the ovaries drop to become the testes.
Right.
The clitoris grows into the penis.
Penis. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, half our country is.
Isn't that ironic that we're all girls?
And half our country or more or whatever are transgender because they're males.
Yeah.
Started out females and ended up males. Like these people literally do not. Science is a dirty word.
Right.
Biology doesn't exist. When you think that literally as at conception, when the sperm meets the egg, we suddenly have genitalia. Again, I imagine these little itty bitty mini humans, like tiny microscopic. Like if you looked in a microscope, it's a regular sized baby just shrunk down. I think like, what is it?
Or
Those sea
regular
monkeys.
Yeah.
But sea monkeys, you put them in water and they start to grow, supposedly, those old fashioned sea monkeys. That's what I think they feel that sperm is.
But Jodi, again, the people that Trump talked to, they're Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
God.
Like, you're not going to ever be able to. The one guy says, well, you can't put, fire out with water. You got to put fire out with fire. And I'm like, oh, for the love of everything.
If this was not so serious, because it is, because I feel for I feel for trans people in red states that now are just stuck. And then you have, what is his name? Her name, sorry, Caitlyn Jenner, who is transgender and a huge Trump supporter.
Right.
Huge Trump supporter. Went to the inauguration. She and her partner, who is also her manager or whatever, who's also transgender. They're both transgender, yet they don't want anyone else to get gender affirming care because they have so much money they can get it on their own. And Jenner is walking like a man in this very, very nice evening gown and then turns and shoots snot rockets out as he's walking in this evening gown. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so embarrassed now that is. But I gotta say,
sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that there is something in that conversation to what a man is and what a woman is societally, because I don't think that it is necessary. Like, just because he's not acting like a lady, just because she's not acting like a lady, doesn't mean that she's not. Like, I don't act like a lady. I've shot a snot rocket out. I probably wouldn't do that on a red carpet, but I think that there's
not
a bigger
wearing
issue.
A nice shiny evening gown and going to the inauguration. You don't shoot snot rockets.
I mean,
you just don't.
If given the opportunity, I would like to subvert the gender norms in that way. If I was going to Trump's inauguration, I would definitely shoot some snot rockets.
Well, okay, that's a whole different.
The point I'm trying to make is that all of these things are societally what it is to be a woman and societally what it is to be a man. And I think that is really the core of that whole conversation in terms of gender dysphoria, because people aren't feeling what society says their gender is. And so that's where the dysphoria comes from. And instead of just being able to embrace themselves and live the life they want and be the person they want, they have this, there's a the what am I trying to say here? There's a fight within them between what they feel and what society says they should be. And in my opinion, if society wasn't boxing in people to say, this is you and this is you, instead it was more like, these are traits that belong to humans and you can be these or you can be these. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, just because Caitlyn Jenner didn't walk like a lady doesn't mean she's not a lady. Just because I don't dress like a lady doesn't mean I'm not a lady. Just because I have a shaved head doesn't mean I'm not a woman.
Okay. I'm going to cut you off just because I want to say this. As far as Caitlyn Jenner goes, she's already gone through her transition and all that stuff. And now she's aligning herself big time, both then his first term and this term, with someone who says that what she is not real, is not true, is not valid, is not okay for anyone else. And we are not going to let, and has already started to dismantle the transgender or the gender affirming care. So someone like
that is fucked. That's totally fucked.
Because
like,
that's
why are you backing those people?
For sure. And now you're a woman, and now you want to dismantle the whole trans movement
for everybody.
You've already changed your sex. Well, again, you look like a moron. And again, it's all money. I mean, the Jenner, like fucking Caitlyn Jenner, like used to be Bruce Jenner, and bazillions of dollars. And again, going down the Republican road because it's about
money.
Right. So, and I'm not saying that that's correct. All I'm saying is that doesn't, just because that person is acting like an ass doesn't mean that they're not the gender that they are associating themselves with.
You should hear me burp. I'm ruder than rude when it comes to drinking. Though. I do it intentionally, and I probably horrify so many people. I don't give a shit. And I don't look like I'd be the person that.
And you know what? Yeah, you can have, but my sister and I one time, we were in the Bahamas, and there were these two girls from New York or New Jersey, whatever their accent was, I couldn't tell. And they were wearing these long evening gowns, carrying bottles of beer, talking like and drinking and whatever. And it was just like, really? You know, you're wearing an evening gown. It just doesn't, it's just that, no, you have personas. You have church persona, the way that you should act in church. You have court persona, the way you should act in court. When you're dressed in an evening gown, just have a little class. That's all I'm saying. Male or female, you're walking the red carpet, don't shoot snot rockets. All I'm saying is, and it looks even worse when you're a female shooting snot rockets. And then again, on top of that, you're wearing this nice glittery ball gown, whatever, evening gown, shooting snot rockets. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she's not a she because she did that.
Sure.
I'm just saying, also, if you were going to say that you feel female now and you want to be female now and you've transitioned to female now, maybe just act a little classier.
Well,
I think that shooting snot rockets.
Yeah, I think that was her point, was that even if you're female, you can do the shooting of the snot rockets or being considered. But well, I guess perspective is everything, right? I mean, I have to say, I think the point you're trying to make is that it's like etiquette depending on your environment that you're in.
Right.
Please.
Right.
So if you're in church, you probably shouldn't be using the C word.
Right.
And if you're in court,
I don't mean church when I say that. And if you're at, like the red carpet, that you're not like, although I think
twice.
And I think and again, yeah, but again, gender, it's because of what we've done as a society, and we've assigned certain behaviors to genders, that it should be this and it should be that, where again, it's a spectrum and you are who you are. The end.
I tell my clients, as long as you're not doing anything illegal,
yeah,
immoral, and I'm not talking immoral by the Bible. I'm talking immoral like
don't go kill somebody.
Yeah, and you're not doing anything that harms anybody intentionally. And if you find out you harm someone and you don't stop, now it's intentional. So as long as it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, and harming someone, be your true and genuine you.
Just be you.
You should.
Well, stay in your own lane. The whole thing with the gender thing, it shouldn't fucking be political.
Never.
Right.
Just leave it out. It just let people do what they need to do. You know,
Right.
if people are expecting society to change and just say, you have to say, oh, you chest fed your kid. No, you don't. I have 3 kids and I breastfed. I'm a cisgender biological woman, and that's how I identify. And I'm always going to say breastfed. If somebody is non-binary or transgender and they want to say they chest fed, you go right
Right.
ahead. I don't care. That's you.
But
Again, don't again, I think where the right has taken it too far, whereas they think that they're expecting everybody to conform to, well, just don't conform.
Right.
and the left went way too far when they wanted everybody to conform to chest fed.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. The left
Yeah.
went too far. It's like that,
They
but
both
that's
went right and
where
left.
us as individual people, it doesn't need to be political. It just means that as an individual person, I'm not going to conform to that. You go right ahead and say you
Right.
chest. I'm not going to say that. I'm a cisgender woman and I breastfed. You know, if you are a transgender woman and you are arguing with biological cisgender women that you have a period, I'm sorry, you can't. You can't.
Because you don't
I
have
think
ovaries. You
that
don't have
there's a from my understanding, which I'm not a biologist, but if they are on the hormones, there can be a similar like
No, no, they can
feeling,
get
like you're
that.
not having a biological period,
You're
but
not
you
having a
have the
biological
hormonal.
period, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so you've got gynecomastia and you've got sore breasts. Yes, you can have that from taking estradiol, 120%.
Right.
But you cannot menstruate, you can't
Right.
bleed
You're
because
not
you
menstruating.
don't move, you
Right.
don't have
right.
uterus. And
Right.
again, you call me a turf, whatever you want to call. I don't even care. Well, whatever, which I'm so not. I'm so all about, and women are great. We're all about supporting. We're the ones that really
We
truly support.
should be about supporting each other.
We should be, right, about each other. But when you've got somebody mansplaining a biological function and saying, I have that too, and you don't know what you're talking about and getting all bitchy and sassy about it, it's like,
Maybe
yeah.
they're on their period.
Okay.
Um,
On that note, we are at time. So
All
we do
right.
have to wrap it up. That was a great one to wrap it up on, though. I
Yeah.
do think.
maybe they were on their period. But yeah, that was well
Yeah.
played. Well played, girl. Well
That
done.
one was good.
Very
So
well
thank
said.
you so much for
Thank
coming
you guys.
and your band again. And do you
Um,
have anything coming up or
yeah,
where people
so
can find you?
yes,
Yeah.
you can find my band Thinky Flesh. That's think with a Y, Thinky Flesh. Anywhere on the internet. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube,
Really?
Bandcamp. Everywhere you can find music, you can find us. That's right. We have a show coming up in San Diego in February. We've got a tour coming up in April. We're going to go do Texas and the East Coast. And then I've got 5 singles coming out this year. The first one will be coming out in mid-February. So you can go find us, Thinky Flesh, anywhere you find delicious, fabulous music. We have an album out. We have an EP out. There's a bunch of music videos on the YouTube.
You have
So follow us
merchandise?
anywhere. This is our album.
Do you have merchandise?
We do. This is a new shirt I just put. This is another. I was prepared. Look at this. This is another. This is a crop, but I have it in
Oh,
t-shirt.
that's cool. Thank you.
That's another shirt I have available. I got CDs. I got tapes. I got stickers. I got all kinds of stuff, and I'll make custom stuff too because I'm a crafty little bitch. Yeah, so you can find us anywhere. And then if you want to find me specifically, I'm Slim Jelly with a 3, so Slim J3LLY.
And we'll have this in the description of the podcast too. So all of this I'm gonna put out. So you're gonna have to actually send it to me.
I will do that.
I'm so in.
But yeah, go listen to the music and check out for new music and come see us out on tour because it's a really, really fun time. We all dress in costumes and do silly stuff and dance around and it's a great show. So and then you can find me on tour with Green Jello whenever I'm not out with my own band. So and I played in a Muse cover band recently too. So
Muse, is that what you said? A Muse?
yeah.
Oh, that's
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well,
But
thank
anyway.
you so very much. And again,
ladies.
you're going to send me all that information so I can write it all down for everybody. If you
I
didn't
will.
catch it, it will be in the description, so you will be able to find it. And thank you so much. And we'd love to have you on again so we could talk
Wonderful.
about this horrible administration.
and where we just need to move forward and just band together.
Yeah.
I think we had a really
Yes.
good
Yes.
We really appreciate your perspective, and good luck to you in keeping yourself safe
Thank
and
you.
self-protected. And here's a message to all and everyone out there. You don't have the right to touch anybody, regardless of what they're doing and what they're not doing. And so please support this beautiful soul and what she does. Respect her body, respect her rights, and just keep your fucking hands to yourself. The end.
Somebody being a performer does not mean they're for you. They're
Yeah.
there for you to enjoy the music, the atmosphere, all of that. But they're not there for you to enjoy their body.
No, at a distance. So good luck to you on that.
At a distance, exactly.
Stay strong, sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, so much. It was so wonderful chatting and meeting with you guys. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.